All meetings are recorded. When addressing council, please sign in, state your name, and speak clearly into the microphone. Line item 1 is a pledge of allegiance, and I'll lead us in that. All right, thank you. Line item 1.2, roll call. Ward 1, Councilman Hannon's present. Ward 2, Councilwoman Zaberski's present. Ward 4, Councilman Torres is present. And Ward 5, Councilman Mendoza is present. Line item 1.3, public forum. This portion of the meeting devoted to the public. The public may comment on any matter that is not specifically included on the agenda as an action item. Items not included on this agenda cannot be acted upon other than to place them on a future agenda. If you wish to comment, you can do so in person at the meeting or raise your hand featured in Zoom or star 9 if you're participating via phone. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetition. The mayor may, at his discretion, hold comments until a second public forum at the end of the meeting. Public comments submitted prior to 4 p.m. of the day of the meeting will be provided to City Council and added to the record, but will not be read during the live meeting. Any public input received after 4 p.m. the day of the meeting will be included in the record, but may not reach council members before action is taken. Is there any public input at this time?
Good evening, Mayor, City Fernley Council. My name is Gregory Bear, and I'm a resident of Fernley. I want to talk about Title 16. I understand the city wants clear, more efficient code enforcement to keep our neighborhoods safe and clean. That goal is shared by most residents. However, hiring an out-of-state consultant from Colorado to import and adoptive codes from Henderson is the wrong approach. Fernley is not Henderson. We are a small, unique community with our own character, challenges, and values. Importing big city template does not serve our citizens well. Instead of outsourcing, our city staff and council should figure this out in-house. Review and improve our codes we already have. Listen directly to Fernley citizens about what works and what doesn't work for our vacant lots, rural properties, and neighborhoods. Tailor solutions to us, not a copy-paste from a larger suburban city hundreds of miles away. We also have deep concerns about due process in the draft. When the same building official or designee who oversees fines and enforcement also presides over the administrative appeals, it creates the appearance and real risk of bias and abuse of power. This concentration of roles does not feel fair or balanced. Council member, we respectfully ask that you personally stand on this approach, or do you support continuing with outsourced Henderson-based models? Or will you direct staff to pause and go back to our existing codes and improve them locally with meaningful resident input? We want codes that protect our communities without trampling on property rights or basic fairness. We want you, our elected representatives, to own this process for the city of Fernley, not hand it off to consultants. Thank you for time and listening. I urge you to slow down, engage the public more deeply, and put Fernley first. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Mayor, there you are, right in front of me all the time. Evening, Mayor and City Council. staff. Whether you approach the subject of organization from a philosophical point of view or from one of basic empirical evidence, there seems to be an agreement that the following idea is implicit: bureaucracy. Bureaucracy. That is, anytime one writes or talks about organizations or organizing processes, he or she cannot escape the fundamental realization that one cannot exist without the other. Bureaucracy, the so-called elephant in the room. Let's face it, we encounter it every day. And so it is with the city of Fernley. Along with the city's continuing development during the past several decades has come an increasing division of labor or role assignments. In other words, bureaucracy has likewise increased. Take a look at the city's changing flow chart, for example. So when I read in the local paper, the Fernley Reporter, about the City Council's recent attempts to find a satisfactory solution for the replacement of the city manager's position, the subject caught my attention right away. Initially, I had forbidding visions of the kinds of problems that can possibly accompany and follow the city's proposed desk restructuring, bureaucracy meaning desks originally. After all, specifically, for example, instead of the traditional responsibilities assigned to a city manager, the suggestion at the May 6th City Council meeting was to create two new positions: a chief operating officer and a chief development officer, together with their required new salaries. In so many words, let's move the desks again. Although not explicitly mentioning that bureaucracy or bureaucratic change had anything to do with the ongoing discussion, Finance Director Robert Carson, as quoted in the Reporter, said encouragingly, it would appear it will make the city more organized and more streamlined for businesses coming in and processes, project someone in so we can get these approved and moving forward on a regular basis. Finally, focusing on the COO's role in particular,
Sir,
he further elaborated.
Sir, your time is up.
By the three Department Public Works.
Sir,
Sentence.
your time is up. Thank you.
Sentence.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Go ahead, next.
Push the button. All right. Thank you, staff. Thank you, council members. My name is John Barchi. I've been criticized for not being here in person, though I do watch on Zoom and YouTube. So I am here in person. As you know, I'm running for mayor. I have a few requests concerning the org chart change, and that is the job descriptions. Please don't lock them in stone. If I get elected, I will make some changes. In particular, I believe we need a chief of staff, not a chief operating officer. I applaud that you are making progress in your way. And so I want to definitely make sure you understand I'm on your side when it comes to making these org changes, doing what you think the city needs to do in order to grow. I do want to point out we have a lot of other issues. I've got people here walking in with me telling me they're here for the Title 16 talk, so we definitely want to have that meeting. Finally, before I go, I do want to recommend to you, if you want more people to attend, besides doing things like Title 16, don't have the meeting when they're still driving home from work. There are a lot of people in Fernley who work for a living. They have opinions. They want to be here, but they got to put food on the table for their family. So something for you guys to consider. If you don't think you have enough people showing up to these meetings, make them later. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You hear me? Good afternoon. Hey, I'm Mike McMorty. Thank you, City Council, Mayor, staff. I'm here, you guys are voting on tonight, Resolution 26011. Has to do with vendors and vendor fees. I'm urging you to hold off on this vote for a little bit. There's still some questions that we have. This was kind of just slammed on us as people who organize a lot of these functions that go on. What came up out of this is it just kind of showed up. I just found out about it this week that that we were going to do a $25 fee, which we discussed this last October. And $25 is the reason. The $25 is just a little bit high for this. We're trying to get people to come to Fernley, to these events, to these things. And the reason that I get when we're having these events is that, hey, we're not going to come to Fernley because you're too expensive. There's too many hoops to jump through. It's too expensive. This is a good first step, giving it to the coordinator, and defining a coordinator is a great event, but I still think this is way too high. I think we need to keep it down till we can build these events larger and get more people in it. And for an example, I'll just give you an example. When we first started having these events, we had 80 to 90 vendors, right? This last event that we had at our Spring Crafts and Drafts, we had 45. And the reason we had 45, we also advertised a 2-day show. We'd also asked these vendors, and we told them about what we had discussed in October, 8 months ago, that they were going to be lower fees. We were going to be able to do it. There wouldn't be all these hoops to jump through. And when Aubrey went in February, the 11th hour was like, no, you can't. You're going to still have to go through all the thumps. We lost 36 vendors in one night. 36. It's cost us thousands of dollars to put these events on. And we really need the city's support on this. We really need these fees dropped. We need the organizers to this going in the organizers is the right direction. But we need also consistency in it. I mean, I'm not throwing a rock. Well, I kind of am. But the city's holding an event, and they advertised that all you needed was a state license. It didn't say anything about doing city licenses or event licenses or fees or anything else. So, I mean, let's be consistent on it. We've been trying. We're probably one of the one businesses that are really trying to bring a lot of people to Fernley. We had the same thing at Margaritas and Murals. These guys lost. It's the same event coordinator. We have lost several vendors, especially at like Margaritas and Murals. They lost 10 to 15 vendors because of how hard it is to bring there. Let's simplify this process so we can, bring good things to Fernley. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Ryan Cross. I'm a resident of Ward 3. I work at Fernley High School where I'm the principal, but I'm not here tonight speaking on behalf of Fernley High School or Lyon County School District. I want to make that very clear. For the last 20 plus years, I've worked with NDOT and the Safe Route to Schools program. And a lot of improvements have been made over the last 20 years. There's a bike path now that leads to Fernley High School. There's a secondary exit. There are acceleration lanes. The highway's been widened. A lot of things have happened that are very good. But I feel like we are overlooking the most common sense and affordable safety measures that we could put in place. Right now, the speed limit is 55 miles an hour out in front of the high school. And you've got a group of the largest group of inexperienced drivers in town. We've got approximately 1,300 kids there. They're all entering that highway from almost a dead stop altogether a couple times a day, at the end of the school day and at lunch. And as you know, there was a pretty horrible accident just Monday where we came dangerously close to a fatality and a tragedy. I feel like we could, if we would move that 45-mile-an-hour zone south of the high school campus and then move the 35-mile-an-hour zone just south of Cottonwood, it would be very beneficial for all these rookie drivers. I acknowledge that that is NDOT's property and it's not the city of Fernley's problem. However, I feel like the city has some relationships with the Department of Transportation, and that highway runs right through the middle of our city. I think we should have a little bit of influence, a little bit of input on that with the state. I know this is an agendized item later on. I don't know if the speed limit changes are part of that. And the reason I'm coming to you is I've been having these conversations with the Department of Transportation for over 20 years. And the only thing that's changed out there at that intersection is the volume of traffic that's coming through it. And it's increased substantially. The other thing is the intersection of Cottonwood and 95. About 5 years ago, I was told by a senior engineer at NDOT that a roundabout was approved for that intersection and that we would see it in approximately 2 years. Obviously, that hasn't happened. Now I'm hearing that there's some kind of a holdup with the city, and I understand roundabouts aren't popular with everybody. I don't even know if that's true, but my point is everybody I think can acknowledge that what we're doing in that intersection right now is not working. It's very dangerous. The accident that happened Monday, I think, could have been easily prevented if that traffic was slowed down a little bit. And just in the last year since August, I know personally of 2 pedestrians that have been struck by vehicles in that intersection. We need to do something with that. And I would appreciate the city's assistance in making something happen out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public input at this time? Anybody on Zoom, Ms. Swanson? Nobody on the phone? Okay. Move on to line item 1.4, looking for approval of the agenda. Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the agenda, but let's first move 9.2 to after item number 4. We're going to pull 8.1 tonight and put that on the next agenda. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
And we also want to pull.
Consent.
Huh?
That's on consent.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion was made by Councilman Torres, seconded by Councilman Mendoza.
Sorry, can you repeat those agenda items? Sorry.
Yeah, so he's pulling 8.1 for the next meeting and then moving line item 9.2 to after proclamations, after 4. Okay. Motion carries 4-0. Looking for a motion on the consent agenda. Councilman Torres.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the pulling 2.6 and placing that on the regular agenda for discussion and possible action.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Torres, seconded by Councilwoman Zaborski. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Benjamin.
Good evening, Benjamin Ferrito, Engineering Department for the record. I asked the mayor to pull this on to discussion because there are a few changes to the scope and to the cost of this project and this amendment to the Good Earth subdivision road reconstruction. For those in the room who are unfamiliar, that is the B through G streets, 6th and 7th. The roadway construction and design was approved, but we needed another amendment to include utility design. Initially, this was $227,750. After some negotiations with the consultant, Eastern Sierra Engineering, we managed to cut about $80,000 out of task 3A, which was the investigation of existing conditions and the design report. Because we were replacing all the pipe in there, we did not need an investigation of existing conditions. We will just record how we rebuild this system, so we don't need to model any of that or have that in the report. We added a little bit of permitting for NDEP in task 5A, and that represents the about $40,000 price difference down to 100. The new total, which is $161,660.
How much was that again?
$161,660. Or about $65,000 cheaper now.
Okay, looking for motion on that. Councilman Torres.
I make a motion to approve that amount on item 2.6.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Torres, seconded by Councilman Hannan. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. We'll now move on to line item 3, reports. This is for various public entity representatives to provide general information to the council and public. No action will be taken. Chief Deputy, Brannigan.
Chief Deputy Mitch Branningham, Lyon County Sheriff's Office. Thank you, Council, Mr. Mayor, for having me this evening. We have all sorts of things going on around the Sheriff's Office. Most recently here about early last week, there was a bunch of social media stir involving a woman and her 7-month-old baby that went missing. It was kind of a lengthy route to get the case over to us. The initial report went into Churchill County and then got forwarded over through records processes. But in the meantime of that process going on, our deputies started an investigation into that situation. They were able to make contact with her boyfriend, who was the initial reporting party. They were able to determine that she was an absconder from parole and probation and that she was on the run. There was no active concern for her safety. However, we were very concerned about the safety of the 7-month-old child that was involved in this case. Our investigations division got involved pretty early on. They worked with some of our federal partners, the U.S. Marshal Service, as well as the Center for Exploited and Missing Children. And they started the tracking process that took some time as she was actively trying to evade law enforcement, and it had some help from some people in doing so. Ultimately, we were able to find her yesterday up in Reno. She was actually hiding with her boyfriend, who was the initial reporting party. She was taken into custody, and the child was recovered safe and healthy. And we're working on ensuring that that's the process going forward for that young girl. But overall, a very happy outcome for us, and exactly the outcome that we're looking for is to get her into custody and try and get her the help that she needs and ensure the safety of the kid. We have Memorial Day coming up this weekend. We'll see a slight increase in staffing around the city, as well as some DUI enforcement over the holiday weekend. And we will have law enforcement staff out at the Veteran Cemetery for the services out there on the actual Memorial Day holiday on Monday. We have several other kind of large-scale investigations going on. They're taking up a bunch of deputies' time right now. We're right on the edge of breaking one of them open, and I'm looking forward to being able to come back and brief you on that here shortly. But we do have a lot of kind of larger operations going on here in the city at the time being. And as I say that, I was going through some statistical reports, and I came across a number that I thought was very interesting and relevant that I wanted to make you aware of. In 2025, we took 18,988 calls for service here in the northern part of the county in Fernley. That number is very relevant from a couple standpoints. In 2023, we took about 44,000 calls for service as an agency countywide. And that number has gone up pretty drastically. It's right about 55,000 calls for service right now in the county. But as that has paced, it's tracked accordingly here in the city. So we are expecting to see that number go up pretty drastically. We have 19 sworn officers here in the city at any given time, which is still kind of a staggering number for me to hear. When I first got here in 2022, we had 9 of us. And so as much as that volume of calls is pretty significant, the deputies are handling it very, very well. But we're almost 1,000 calls for service per deputy. And I bring that up to really draw attention to the hard work that those guys are doing. What a fantastic job they are doing, getting the calls for service and driving the response times down and all those things. As part of that process, we went out and obtained some grant money, and we've implemented a new program in the sheriff's office, and it's in its infancy right now, but it's called the Resource Router. And what the Resource Router does is it analyzes the last 5 years of crime data that has come into the sheriff's office, and it tracks those through GPS coordinate of where those crimes actually occurred and projects intelligent data into the future of where we're most likely to run into crime in the city. So we can combine that with the experience of the deputies and where they believe that crime is going to occur, and we can try and make them more efficient so that we're getting a higher output of law enforcement activity, of presence in the area that we need presence in the city, and try and stop crime before it's happening, just through the deterrence of putting patrol cars in the right places for the right amounts of time during the day. So brand new program. I think we've been kind of in the testing phase of that for about 2 weeks now, but we're expecting great things of it. They're currently running a similar program down in Miami and up in Indiana. The program up in Indiana is a little bit more similar to our geographics and demographics here. And they saw right around a 20% decrease in crime just based off of this implementation alone. So we have already seen a pretty drastic decrease in crime over the last couple of years here. All of our burglaries and larcenies, thefts are all way down. And so we're looking to expand on that and try and look into the future and utilize technology as best we can to become more efficient with the staffing that we have. That being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Councilman Hannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Chief Deputy. Always good to see you. Thank you for all the great information. I love using technology. I think in the last few years, we've seen a dramatic change in the posture of the Sheriff's Department and how it impacts the citizens of Fernley. Most recently, of course, the apprehension of the person you were looking for and the recovery of the child. So that was huge. That was a huge thing. There were hundreds, literally thousands of people online. So I'm happy to see that. Thank you for all your hard work. Great job.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you for your service. Anybody from Northland Fire? I don't see nobody. Commissioner Jacobson, do you have anything to report? Nothing from the county? Okay. We'll now move on to 3.1, reports from city staff, council, and the mayor. Deputy City Manager Altic, do you have anything to report?
Good evening, everybody. I just want to have some great news. 3 out of the 3 community project funding requests we made to the federal government have moved ahead, according to Congressman Amodei. So that's really exciting. The first project was the Highway 50 looping main, and that's about 13,000 linear feet of water main to establish a critical water system loop for a little over $3 million. The next project was a 1.5 million gallon secondary water tank at the Ricky Tank site, and that was 3.2 million. The third one was the Gustafson Bridge replacement over the Truckee Canal, and that was a $5.25 million request. So if the budget gets passed, it's a good chance that those will get approved. And if it's a continuing resolution, not such great news. But we'll keep our fingers crossed. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. We'll start with Councilwoman Zoberski.
You're gonna start with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Out of order. I really don't have a ton. Our travel ball softball teams are gonna be starting up this weekend, so I would expect to see the out of town park pretty full. I think their Memorial Classic is the start of it, so it's generally pretty packed down there, so expect that, and otherwise I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to Councilman Mendoza.
No report this evening.
Councilman Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The FCTA is now accepting grant applications for fiscal year 26-27, round one. Applications will be accepted until May 30th at 5 p.m. This round is for events that take place from July 1st of 2026 through December 31st of 2026. All applications must be submitted by 5 p.m. on Saturday, May 30th. The FCTA board will review the grant applications and make grant selections during the June 15th FCTA board meeting, which starts at 6 p.m. and they're here in the chambers. We no longer have the mandatory applicant meeting. However, if it is your first time submitting a grant application to the FCTA, I strongly encourage you to contact the city manager's office before submittal. Detailed information is posted to the City of Fernley website and Facebook. And if you have any questions, contact the city manager's office at 775-784-9858. And then some of the recent events that are coming up, May 23rd and 24th. The Old Time Riders Group at Reno National at the Fernley Motocross Track, the Sandbox at 400 Vine Street. May 23rd and 24th, Legacy Sports is holding their Memorial Day Classic Fast Pitch event at the Out-of-Town Park and In-Town Park. For more information, go to legacysportsfastpitch@gmail.com. Monday, May 25th. Please don't forget it's Memorial Day event. It begins at 11 a.m. at Northern Nevada Veterans Cemetery. And the Northern Nevada Veterans Coalition is looking for volunteers for Saturday, May 23rd at 8:30 in the morning for flag in day in preparation for the Memorial Day event at Nevada Veterans Cemetery. Thank you.
Councilman Hannan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Just a few things. I attended the Friends of the Friendly Animal Services meeting this week. It was last week. Or was it this last week? I'm losing track of days here. They received a sizable donation, $25,000, I believe, from a local company towards a new animal shelter in our efforts to build an animal shelter here in the next few years in the city of Fernley. So that's great news. I was able to attend the Rotary Satellite Club of Northwestern Nevada. I see Marty Hannum, I call her Marvelous Marty, here tonight from that group. They had a presentation by the Friends, by the Tahoe Pyramid Trail Association, namely Mark Cameron, who's the executive director. For those who don't know, there's a trail system that starts at Pyramid Lake. I've hiked and rode on my bike most of the trail system that goes from Lake Tahoe all the way down to Vista Boulevard along Highway 80. And there are some gaps between Vista Boulevard and the city of Fernley. And so we're trying to close those gaps so that we can complete that trail and go all the way from Pyramid Lake to Lake Tahoe. So we had some conversations about connecting that trail system to the city of Fernley in some capacity or manner, hopefully on the North Area Plan in the future. I attended the search and rescue meeting for Lyon County last week, of which I'm a member, and I want to thank them for their service and hard work. A couple things. We're working on collective bargaining union negotiation the last 2 weeks. That's been very productive. And there was a question about the roundabout at Cottonwood 95A, and I believe the high school crossing. And we had kind of an update. I don't know if it was totally official, but the comment was made that the city was holding up the roundabout. I believe the original concept, there was questions from the folks that do the plowing on the highway that roundabout wasn't wide enough to accommodate the plows. And so there's some reconfiguration there in some capacity. That's what I've been told by NDOT. And then there is a program that was approved, I believe, to do some speed reduction by the high school. We're hoping that goes through. So there's, I think, $3.5 million project there to reduce the speed and put a crossing area there. So that is in the works, and I appreciate you bringing that up. It's been brought up many, many times. Last week, someone was hammering me about that, and we're actively trying to get those things done. So we hear you loud and clear, and we're on board with it. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
All right, I'll comment a little bit about the speed. Yeah, there's going to be a bike trail that goes from the high school south to the subdivision with the crosswalk and lights. So yes, we're in the works on that with NDOT, and also they're looking at lowering the speed limit to not 45 but 35 going south of that. That's all just been talked right so far. Nothing is set in stone yet. So on May 12th, I had the opportunity, we took 88 second graders from Fernley Elementary School out to the water treatment plant for a field trip. And I just want to say a big thank you to the department for putting on together such a great event for these kids. It's something that they won't forget. And I also want to thank the water treatment plant guys. They did just a fabulous job setting this up for the kids, very educational for them. But I really think the big hit for the kids was when they turned the fire hydrant on and sprayed water up in the air, and all the kids, they were soaking wet and rolling on the ground. I'm sure the parents appreciated that when they got home with dirty clothes and everything. But I think they truly had a good time. And I really truly value the opportunity to get with these young kids and kind of show them how things work. And who knows, maybe one day they're going to be sitting up here or working for the city. So it just gives them a little bit of foresight as far as how the city water treatment plant works. Also, I attended the 3M event, Murals, Music and Margaritas on Friday night. It was pretty awesome. I want to say thank you to them for these murals that they painted this year. I really appreciated the fact that the aesthetics of it kind of coincide with where they drew the mural. Like over by the train depot, there's a train. And out at the memorial wall at the out of town park, there's a fireman and there's a nurse and there's a veteran, there's a Army guy out there, and they really fit the scene as far as where they put them. So I want to thank them for that. And then also I wanted to mention that we have the mayor's cleanup coming up on May 30th. We're going to meet at the out of town park at 8 o'clock. And then from there, we're going to do cleanup around the out of town park and also the veterans, not the veterans, but the Fernley Cemetery, which is much needed. I know that Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, they had a planting day out there here recently. And if you haven't been out there lately, please go out there and look at it. We did sod and they did flowers and plants and pulled a bunch of weeds, and it really looks great. So I want to thank them for scheduling that planting day out there at the cemetery. And that's all I have. We will now move
Mr. Mayor?
on. Yes.
Over here.
Oh,
I believe some department heads had a few announcements, updates.
oh, okay. Yeah. So,
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
oh, yes.
I just
Go ahead.
wanted to let everybody know that the city will be hosting another couple of workshops pertaining to Title 16. And the first one will be June 4th at 5:30. And the second one will be June 6th, which is a Saturday at 10 a.m. And we hope to get lots of participation and lots of good conversation surrounding the Title 16. And thank you. And if you have any questions prior to those events, please feel free to reach out to the Code Enforcement Department. We are happy to have those conversations. Thank you.
Do we have any other staff with
I believe
reports?
planning director had,
Okay,
maybe some others too.
Ms. Rambo?
Yeah, just a quick update on the South Area Plan. We did another open house for the public recently, and we've had individual meetings with council and planning commissioners. And we have a new updated draft. Hasn't been changed a whole lot from the last time you saw it, but that will be coming to you probably in the next couple of days. So I just wanted to let you know to be on the lookout for that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Barry Williams, Public Works Director for the record. This week is a National Public Works Week, so during this week, the city will be highlighting the dedicated departments within Public Works throughout the week by sharing information on the city's social media pages about the responsibilities and the essential services that Public Works provides to our community each day.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Swanson?
I just want to remind everybody that early voting starts on Saturday at 10 a.m. and runs through June 5th at 5 p.m. and excluding Sundays and holidays.
And regular voting for the primary is June 9th. Okay, thank you. Is there any other staff reports? All right, seeing none, we will move on to line item 4, proclamations by the mayor, and I do have one. Office of the Mayor, City of Fernley, Nevada, proclamation, whereas public works professional focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital and important to the sustained and resilient communities, to public health, high quality of life and well-being of the people of Fernley, Nevada. Whereas these infrastructure facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government, and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for citizens, civic leaders, and children of Fernley, Nevada to gain knowledge of the maintenance and ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by American Public Works Association, and theme Rooted in Service, Powered by Community. Be it now resolved, I, Neely McIntyre, Mayor, along with the City Council, do hereby designate the week of May 17th through the 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and the government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designated to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contribution they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life. And this, accepting this award is going to be our Public Works Director, Mr. Barry Williams. Congratulations, sir. Thank you for your work. All right, thank you.
I already did.
Well, unlike last week when we had 4, we only have 1 today. So thank you for that. We will now move on to line item 9.2. It's presentation by Brandy Jensen, Deputy City Attorney, on the City of Fernley 25th anniversary, July 1st celebration. Ms. Jensen. The
Can
show's
you pull
yours.
that up for me, please, Kim? A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Although the city of Fernley is only turning 25 years old on the July 1st of this year, its roots go back over 100 years. It is based in a culture of agriculture and rail, and that was extremely important at the time for people to be able to connect, sell goods, and expand. I know that we have budget tonight. This could be a very long presentation. I'll be very short as much as we can. But I do think it's fun to go through some of the things that are here today. The naming of the history of Fernley, the name of it, Fernley itself, is a great unknown. If anybody wants to read, there's an article framed in the back corner over here where you can read about the history of it. There is no proven origin of the name. Fernley started with this particular train depot. There was Virginia and James Galbraith, who were the first telegraphers, and their granddaughters in the room today. You can see that there are various historical pictures with the fully developed depot in the back, which was built later. There was an issue with being able to grow farms. At first, they tried without water. That obviously didn't work. So then that previous picture is of Mr. Stock, who was a farmer, and that was on Stock Lane, and this is the current Stock Lane in Fernley today. They built the Reclamation Act, built the dam, which brought water to Fernley through our canal. And you can see that it was primarily an agricultural, historical city. They grew alfalfa and, ironically, cantaloupes, which I didn't learn until I went through this. That was the first load of cantaloupes being shipped out of Fernley back in 1923. The first schools in Fernley started in 1907, and they had their first graduating class from the high school in 1927. We are blessed to have a number of yearbooks for the school. They are over here. I believe the high school also has a collection, as does the library, and the city's trying to gather their own. There's a list of the years we're missing if anybody wants to grab the list and help us out and find some of the ones that are gone. The oldest one that we have is from 1928, and it's on the far left over there. That was our first schoolhouse, which was an abandoned cabin behind the tracks, and our first school bus, which had some of our first residents here in Fernley. There's a number of different pictures that we'll be putting up on various locations for people to look at. This is the school, which is now where China Chef is. This would be facing towards Reno. Ironically, I was born here, my mother was born here, and my children were born here. She's in the picture, bottom right-hand side, second one. Our schools have developed over the year, and we had a lot of teachers. One of the benefits that we have here today for display is a donation of books that was given to us by a teacher and school administrator, Betty McCulloch Jackson. So the collection over there is the books from the 1920s from the Fernley Schoolhouse. And we're very grateful that that was donated to our city to be able to display, and they'll be put up front after today's presentation. We went through some of the fun parts of Main Street Fernley. The Christensen store is kind of basically where Guadalajara is now. That store was built and purchased over the years. That's where you see a lot of the historical documents, because the Christensens were really good about documenting their history. So we have scrapbooks of their parts of Fernley. You can see the insides of the store through all of our pictures. This is Aldo Aridia's family pushing sheep down Main Street, and his dad. We have a bunch of them that you can look at that are framed over in the far back corner if you want to spend your time on that. And then we also have parts that still exist today. Some are in better shape than others. The truck in is gone, but the truck is still there. The Oasis is still there, believe it or not, and is probably the most talked about historical building that I hear from the various residents that are giving me historical information. It is currently the smoke shop on Main Street. There used to be Howard's Cafe, which is now the China Chef. The Aldridge Hotel, it was built in 1928, and it is now, I believe, Cardin Realty, the building that's up on the top there. There aren't a whole lot of historical buildings in town, but some of them are kind of fun. One is the Dairy Queen, which is then, as most people know, or the Dainty Cone, I'm sorry, which then became the Wigwam and is still the Wigwam today. This is an aerial photograph that was, I hired a gentleman on a plane to take just a few days ago. And there are just a few ranches left in town. There is one cattle rancher who's been here since 1967, Mr. Sticks. This ranch here has been here, gosh, I don't even know how long, since the early 1900s. This ranch was 75 acres water righted. They paid $125. There is the oldest tree that we know of that existed on the Jackson Ranch. I know a lot of people walk in here and don't notice, but if you walk out our front doors, there's a slice of it on the outside with some historical information on what you can find out about it. It was on the Jackson Ranch, and one of the Jacksons is here today as well because I made him. This is our Fernley Depot as it started. There were war trains that would come through town. Those are some of the historical pictures. It was remodeled and redone. This is a picture we're estimating from the 1950s, but I haven't been able to verify. It has changed a lot over the years and has had a lot of remodeling done. It was originally transported from where it was next to the railroad tracks down Main Street in 1984, thanks to the Fernley Preservation Society. You can see it had a little work to do. And it doesn't look like that now. So a shout out during Public Works Week to Public Works for all the grants and applications and new roof and all the things they've done to it over the years. Currently, this is what it looks like today. And the part that's great for the depot is just that it's such a historical piece for us, and it is in the center of our community centers now. This is the picture of the original family that worked at the train depot, climbing up onto the telegraph. We also had some contests to go through our different 25th anniversary. One of them was going to be who is our oldest resident in Fernley. And I would like to recognize very briefly, if you don't mind, Miss Almeida Collins, who is 99 years old. And we have some little gifts that we're going to give her. And then we also, our second place winner was Nadine Ruth Orberg Futch. Sorry, she is 93 years old living here in Fernley. We also had a photo contest. And the photo contest was won by Dick Jackson, mostly because I stuck his picture in there against his will. But it's a fantastic photo of the Fernley Depot, which they had done some acting and reincarnation of the different things that they had over the times. That picture is framed over in the corner, and you can find it with some of the information. So I would like to congratulate Mr. Dick Jackson for his wonderful photography. He's probably not going to stand, but I'm going to make him. And then this is Almeida. And then there's a local Fernley history page that I've been told about that has a ton of Mr. Jackson's photographs on there. And so you can get on there and see even more of his fabulous work of portraying Fernley over the years. There's also some paintings of the depot that were done by Lonnie, who is a local person who was from here, who painted our depot picture. And those are hung up on our walls here in City Hall. Did you want to say anything? What? Did you want to say anything?
Thank you, everybody.
99 and fabulous. That's 99 and fabulous, ma'am. If you don't mind, I'll reach over and put it on you. And we have you a crown. So congratulations on winning our contest. And if I could have somebody from the family come up, we have a little gift. One of our staff members makes these and did a wonderful job. So thank you. Thank you. All right, ma'am. Mr. Jackson also gets to come pick a gift. Oh, okay. Almeida, I want to take it. He does not like public attention, so please know this is against his will.
Hey, Brandy, is Dick the second place for the oldest Fernley night, or?
He is the second person to have lived in Fernley the longest.
That's
So he
awesome.
gets second place for that as well.
Congrats.
Glad I'm not first.
There are many residents who've lived in Fernley for a long time, and hopefully we'll get more nominations, more information as people keep coming. Our anniversary isn't until July 1st, so please keep sending them to us. There it goes. We also have the longest combined years living in Fernley. That winner is Regina Brush. She is 90 years old and moved to Fernley at the age of 12. She lived with her aunt and uncle for a year or two, and then her family bought a ranch on Stock Lane in 1948. I now live on that ranch, or what was the ranch. Miss Regina Brush. Yours comes with jewelry for later too. Oh, shoot. I just will put it, where are you? Oh, you do it first. Where's the blue one? Oh. Get it over here. Okay, there's your gift, man. 1, 2. Let me grab this. So our PowerPoint will play our thing, so I'm going to.
Terrible picture.
Yeah, take your jewelry. Yes.
I am 9 years old. I moved to Fernley in 1947 when I was 11 years old. At that time, we were displaced because we were going from one place to another. So I lived with my aunt and uncle, Floyd and Vera Ryan, which was my dad's sister.
You can stop it, Kim. I'll just play it off my phone.
My name is Regina K. Brush. I am 90 years old. I moved to Fernley in 1947 when I was 11 years old. At that time, we were displaced because we were going from one place to another. So I lived with my aunt and uncle, Floyd and Vera Ryan, which was my dad's sister. And then my folks bought a ranch in 1948 on Stock Lane. So after that, in 1954, I married my husband, love of my life. In 1954, and his name was Don Edwin Brush. He was a resident of Paradise Valley, Nevada, all of his life, several generations. And then I attended the Fernley schools. And then after I graduated, I went to the University of Nevada and got my degree in education. And then I came back to Fernley, and Grant Anderson was on the school board, and he offered me a job to teach at Fernley Elementary, and I was very thrilled to do that. And then they decided to build a new school called the Cottonwood School, and I thought, oh, that'd be exciting to belong to a new school. So I applied to go there, and they gave me the kindergarten position, which I loved. Wonderful little kids. And so I taught there for 6 years, and then I retired, and I have been a happy person ever since. And how long did you teach for?
So thank you, Regina. Appreciate it. We also had a bunch of other people who were nominated. That one we did get a lot for. As we indicated, Dick Jackson was second place. The Vicky McIntyre was actually born here and has always lived here, and she's been here for 69 years. We have Vicky Zubieta, who's been here for 66, Linda Rudy Carr for 64, Janet Strump for an excess of 60, Sharon Hawley almost 60. And so all of these people that have lived here for a long time have been able to bring me some of the history, which has been great. There is one person who has inspired me to be a historian, and that is my godmother, who wrote a book on Fernley on the early years. It is going to be for sale during our anniversary event. We've ordered more from the publishing company, and it should be getting here pretty soon. Please feel free to stop by and grab one. It is an extensive book on the history, and after doing this for the last year, I had no idea how much work it is. So I really respect what they've done, and I would like to recognize the people that were involved in it, which isn't just Janet, and she wanted to make sure I made everybody know that, but she is here. So I would like to recognize Janet Strump for all her work in preserving our history. The other people involved were Enzo Gorey, Alice Gorey, Mary Farrell, who actually used to work at the city of Fernley. And I can't read the rest because I'm getting old. Okay. Leslie Verha, Marion Johnson, Mabel Huber, Ellen Anderson, and Barbara Pichetti. So this book is, did you get it yet? No. The publisher said they're done today. Oh. And on their way.
Okay.
So like I said, we could do this for hours, but I will stop. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who dropped off things, donated, worked hard on the history of it, and put in the time. We will be displaying a lot of things in the hallway. We are looking for those missing yearbooks. And we look forward to Fernley's future and the display of history that everyone here in Fernley could be creating right now. And the best way to predict your future is to create it. So good luck. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Hannon.
Thank you very much. I just want to say I'm a super massive history buff. I'm a little bit of a weekend warrior, and I've reached out to every historical area around here, and there's so much history in Fernley and Northern Nevada. It's amazing. Every time I go out, I learn something new. One of the facts that I think was pretty outstanding was it's sad, but it's very telling that there are over 1,000 bodies. I'm sorry, right at 1,000 between Lovelock and Fernley, people that were coming from all over the world, all over the globe, that were navigating across our state in search of better times. On maybe a brighter note, in 1988, Clint Eastwood and Bernadette Peters were here and filmed Pink Cadillac. And so that is super awesome. I think at the old All Points Grill downtown, which used to be Yvonne's Hot Dogs, there's a placard there. And so many things. There were other movies here out of Pyramid Lake, so much history. Occasionally I'll go to the cemetery in Wadsworth and read the headstones of where the folks are from. Literally, people from around the world were coming here in search of better times. The Gold Rush area, Silver City, Virginia City. It's amazing, the history of Fernley and Northern Nevada. So with that, I want to thank you very much. I'd rather do this all night. I think we can just skip budget tonight and do this. I'd much rather do this, but it's everyone needs to know this stuff. So thank you very much for taking the time to put that together.
And by the way, that little hamburger stand you were talking about, that was called the Jolly Cone.
And didn't you work there?
No, I worked at Mary and Moe's.
Mary Moe's, okay, close.
All right, we'll now move on to line item 5.1, presentation by Kimley Horn and possible discussion of a recent completed local road safety plan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Annabelle Hernandez. Thanks for having me here to present on the plan, mayor, council members, and city staff. So we know that safety was brought up earlier in the meeting, especially at Fernley High School. So we'll talk about that one project here. But overall, for the last year, we have been working with the city and NDOT staff on the local road safety plan. A local road safety plan identifies crash trends and identifies driver behaviors as well as any roadway risk factors that contribute to these crashes. That way we can focus on countermeasures and improvements that can help reduce fatal and serious injuries. So the purpose of this plan was to create greater awareness of the roadway safety risks within the community with that goal of reducing those fatal and serious injuries. This plan was developed with the requirements for the Safe Streets for All grant, which will actually be applied for the project in city or the Fernley High School. So this plan will also provide opportunities for the city to gather additional funding to pursue implementation of other recommendations. And then the plan will establish a baseline that the city can use to continue to monitor safety throughout the years and have an overall goal of reducing serious injury and fatal crashes through 2050. So overall, our plan contains 10 chapters. I'm going to cover the key elements. I'm not going to cover everything here, but I'll highlight the key elements that are important for this project. Some including stakeholder and partnership engagement. We felt we wanted to have a multidisciplinary team. That way we can gather perspectives from various entities, from engineering to planning, law enforcement, community members, and the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe. So here we have a list of all the members. Again, multidisciplinary group. That way we didn't have any blind spots. We had field visits and were able to gather information from the broader group. Through this stakeholder and partnership engagement, we held 2 workshops. The first one was a background on what the LRSP process was. In addition to that, we went over the safety trends, what were the high priority locations. Once the stakeholder and partnership committee agreed on the priority locations, we did have a workshop 2, which consisted of a field review. In this field review, we were able to split up into 2 different teams and observe the 10 locations we identified. Through that, we were able to make recommendations of the observations. And then lastly, here today, presenting to you on the plan. So the LRSP process. The process follows federal best practices, including the Federal Highway Administration proven safety countermeasures. So the recommendations we have made have been proven to reduce fatal serious injury crashes. And then in the report, it goes into further detail. We identify what percentage, just from research, what percentage reduction the various recommendations provide. We also use the methodology from the Highway Safety Manual to run all of our data analysis. And lastly, we wanted to make this comprehensive and use the US DOT, the safe system approach. I can go a little bit more in detail on this one. So we recognize through the safe system approach that humans are vulnerable, that when a crash happens, our body can only sustain a certain amount of force. So based on those details and with the goal, with the understanding that deaths and serious injuries are unacceptable, there is a system that works together to incorporate safer people, safer vehicles, safer speeds, roads, and post-crash care. So within this system, these five systems work together to improve safety, because one, if you only work on one, other things could fall through. So it's always working together to make that impact in improving safety. So with the data analysis, we did look at the latest 5 years of crash data at the time. We focused on the state routes and local roads. That means we excluded I-80. Within the 5 years, there were 944 crashes. Of those, there were 31 fatal and serious injury crashes. And here we highlight some of those statistics. I did want to highlight, so as we dove deeper into the data related to intersection crashes and driver behaviors, we identified that impaired driving and speeding were the top two driver behaviors most commonly happening at intersections, with unsignalized intersections having the greater number of incidents. Also looking at the different crash types, we had rear end crashes, angle crashes, and non-collision crashes that were the top contributing factors for the 5 years of crash data. The non-collision crashes represent a crash where one vehicle involved either a fixed object or a non-motorized user, such as a pedestrian or a bicyclist. So in this case, we did also highlight that out of the 213 non-collision crashes, there were 18 vulnerable road users, which consisted of 13 pedestrians and 5 bicyclists. To summarize the crash data, there was a peak for over the 5-year period. There was a peak of 204 crashes in 2021 before a slight decline to 194 in 23. Within the crash data, unsignalized crashes or unsignalized intersections represented almost 3 times as many crashes as the signalized and other roadway segments. Within just looking at segments alone, minor arterial crashes were 1.2 times more likely to occur than all other segment types combined. And again, rear end, angle, and non-collision crashes were the top crash type factors involved in those 5 years. And again, so speeding and impairment, we did work with the law enforcement as part of all our field reviews. So we were able to take all of these into consideration. So I know I mentioned earlier that as part of our workshop too, we were able to go to the field and do field reviews of the priority locations. So the map here shows the 10 locations we identified for review. This is where we did split our teams into 2 teams to go do site visits. We did pay attention to looking especially at the schools, going through there during the dismissal to see the environment, what those issues would be. And then, so once we gathered all the data of all the issues, we came back and identified those safety countermeasures, those items proven to help make an impact to reduce fatal and serious injury crashes. Again, I know I mentioned it earlier, we used the Federal Highway Administration proven safety countermeasures. This does provide those crash reduction factors. So that is described further in the report, and it provides a percentage of how many crashes are expected to be reduced based on the implementation of the countermeasures. We also looked at, there's a national clearinghouse that provides details of all the various countermeasures. You can find a lot of research that happens across the country and even internationally to find some of these. It provides a background to why certain crash mitigations are selected. And then again, we partnered with NDOT, so we used their crash modification factor list as well as a reference. So as we were making recommendations, we considered human factor. It's not just changing how the roadway looks, we have to consider the driver behaviors and all those different aspects. So some of the items considered for human factors included sight distance, how does signage look to people? Are signs damaged? If they are, making sure they, replace them with new ones so you have reflectivity. And then if lighting is slow, can we recommend lighting at intersections? That way we can see pedestrians. I know there were some instances where I believe it was on Cottonwood, there was a pedestrian crash that happened at night. So how can we help to add more visibility for the drivers so they can see the roadway environment? So in addition to the roadway characteristics, we recognize those driver behaviors. So I know I mentioned earlier on that impaired driving and speeding related were two of the top driver related factors. So there are opportunities that the city can take, such as safety campaigns, educational programs, and targeted enforcement. I would say for the educational components, NDOT does have their strategic highway safety plan. And through that, we have task forces where partners across the state collaborate and work towards completing action steps that will help improve and move the needle to improve safety. I am currently working on the rural and tribal task force. So we have been talking about some educational programs. So hope we can work with the city as well through that factor and be able to help you with sharing educational material as that gets developed. Lastly, going into recommendations. So in the report, there's a lot of tables in there, but in general, the recommendations were divided into 3 categories, into short, mid, and long-term. The short-term recommendations are the low-hanging fruit, something that staff can go do now with a little amount. You don't need a big amount of a budget, but it can make a big impact. Again, that could be replacing damaged signage, adding reflectivity, or switching out outdated lighting with, changing the bulb. So simple things that can make an impact now. Midterm recommendations do require some engineering design. And then lastly, those priority 3 locations would require significant engineering design and potentially having to acquire some right-of-way. So I'm not going to read through this entire list, but some of the recommendations that are covered in the plan that are low cost include improving signage and striping of the roadway, fixing the pedestrian push buttons at signalized intersections, as well as adding the retroreflective backplates. So it's those. I have a picture there at the top. This helps in the evening hours when people are driving through the signalized intersections. That way they can recognize where the signal heads are. I would say for the most part, the city did have a good amount of these, but there were some instances where, that could be an easy fix to add a few that are missing and make that could reduce crashes by 15%. So just some of those small things that can have a big impact. Another one on the highway would be adding reflective tape to the back of signs. That helps when people are driving, there's middle of nowhere. That way you can see where those edge lines are on the roadway, as well as adding wider edge lines. And also under the low cost improvements, speed limit changes can be included here. But this excludes any changes to construction that would need to happen for traffic calming. Then going on to some examples of mid and high cost improvements. There were some instances where we did recommend repaving roadways that were in poor condition. There's a recommendation to include additional shared use path to expand that to connect those areas that have gaps in there. There are recommendations in several intersections to add intersection lighting, and then the enhancement of pedestrian crossing. So the one we are recommending an enhanced pedestrian crossing by Royal Oaks so that the high school students can cross into the neighborhood to the west. And some locations recommending the addition of sidewalks so that it makes it easy for vulnerable users to walk and access the various amenities. And I won't go through all of these, but there are also some recommendations on realigning intersections. I did want to cover the evaluation and implementation. So we want to make sure that this plan doesn't just sit on the shelf. We wrote it so that the city can use it as a framework, a roadmap to improving safety. Through this, we do recommend that the city establish an LRSP committee that will monitor and conduct annual progress meetings to see the progress that is being made in the implementation of recommendations. Through this, we also recommend that safety is considered a key factor in the CIP, as well as incorporating context-sensitive improvements for new developments. By that, we mean that let's look at the land uses that are surrounding those new developments. If we know there is a lot of commercial properties and there's going to be access to all of these, why not incorporate sidewalk and then also make sure that the speed aligns with the land uses? We don't want to have higher speeds in areas where we are going to expect to have more pedestrians and bicyclists. And then as part of that multidisciplinary team, we did recommend establishing a crash investigation team. At a minimum, we would recommend this for fatal and serious injury crashes. If a team is developed, they can go out to the field with the emergency response team and be able to see, take an assessment of what happened at the crash, see if there are opportunities where engineering recommendations can be implemented to make an improvement and hopefully prevent further crashes at those locations. And then again, this plan was developed in alignment with the Safe Streets for All funding requirements so that this plan can be used to secure funding in the future by the federal government or even locally with NDOT through their safety programs. So next steps. We heard earlier about Fernley High School. I would say I'm really happy that the city is going forward with applying for funding to make improvements at the high school. Our recommendations in front of the high school include reducing the speed limit, again, basing it on the use of the roadway. So we know the school is there. We want to make sure that that land use is considered. Therefore, we did recommend, based on the ENDA speed management action plan, that the current speed limit be reduced down to 45 miles an hour during non-school hours. Then we are recommending, so the items in red here, the establishment of a school zone and the installation of an enhanced overhead pedestrian crossing. These red items, these are what are going to go into the grant application. So the cost for these two items is approximately $4 million. So I feel like this is a really good investment in the future of safety for the city. This establishing the school zone will help students be able to cross, along with the pedestrian crossing, cross safely on the roadway. During our site visit, we did see students crossing to that the neighborhood on the west, and there was a near miss where students crossed over and the cars were very close. So we feel that that enhanced pedestrian crossing, it is going to be an overhead pedestrian crossing similar to the pedestrian crossing that is on Shadow Lane and US 95A. That will help due to the 4 lanes of travel. There's a median and a right turn lane at Royal Oaks that will help drivers see when pedestrians are activating that crossing. So with that, I'd like to thank you and open it up for any questions.
Councilwoman Zaborski and then Councilman Hannah.
I'm not a traffic engineer, so I'm just going to start with that.
Okay.
But when I was going through the 400-page plan, it kept coming up that Farm District hasn't been recognized as a high priority road. And I was just kind of curious about that.
So I'll go back to the map. We did consider it. It did make our high priority road locations. So we did include it. So the way this happened, so based on the data, it first didn't make it, but through our first workshop, we collaborated with the stakeholders. We said, hey, based on the data, here's what we think these priority locations should be. And then based on the comment and input from the stakeholders, they suggested we did include Farm District Road, and we did add it in the end.
Okay.
But
and
we can
it's-
clarify, maybe add a clarifying sentence
I
in there.
think just in this packet, it stops at kind of the corner before that straightaway.
Oh, okay.
Just the one that I have in my packet, it stops at the corner right there, and then the rest of it is not a priority. So do you have, in this 400 pages, do we have, kind of like a list of the top priorities and then?
Yeah, those are on page, so for Farm District Road, our recommendations are located on table 20, which starts on page 64.
Okay. I'll definitely go back through it.
Okay.
I was curious because I didn't see a ton of, and I wasn't sure about, Main Street and some of those NDOT kind of managed roadways as far as, like curb painting for like emergency services. Is that in, because I only saw some striping and things like that. And so I don't know if that would be considered a part of the safety plan.
So when we did the field visits, we couldn't walk the entire, so some of them we drove by and noticed specific elements. We couldn't walk through every single corridor, but you will see through the tables where we made recommendations, a lot of the striping is, when the recommendation comes up, it's considering that entire segment of corridor. We didn't go into specifics like, oh, you need to this type of striping. I think it's up to the agency. And then you did mention NDOT. They were part of this group. So some of these recommendations is something that NDOT is aware of and should be coordinated with as you start implementing recommendations. So Main Street, US 95A, and some of those that are state routes.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Councilman Hannan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for your presentation. A lot of really good information. I just want to acknowledge and thank Nevada Department of Transportation for funding this program with Highway Safety Improvement Program funds. So that's huge. It's great that we're a partner with them, and we love to see the collaboration, and we appreciate them paying for it. So that's great too. But this is a lot of good information. Impairment. I know that the undersheriff, the chief deputy, knows. I talk to him all the time about impairment, and I've done ride-alongs, and every ride-along that I've done in the city of Fernley, and it's just a handful of them over the course of the last 3.5 years, there's been somebody that's arrested for DUI. And I spoke to the judge about it and some of my concerns, and I sat in this building on Mondays for 5 or 6 weeks in a row, listening to arraignments and some of these sentence hearings, and the amount of alcohol and people that were arrested for DUI is staggering. In the high 2s, mid 3s, there was a person I think was almost a 0.4, and that was just staggering to me. So a lot of the accidents, people blame the intersections or things like that, but this impaired driving is just no matter what we do, this seems to continue to be a problem. So I appreciate the Sheriff's Department for cracking down. They've done some enforcement events, and they're trying very hard to do that, but really good data. It gives us some just great numbers, but I saw that impairment was near the top. So
yes, agreed. And then with that in mind, I do want to invite members from the city or even community members. Again, the Nevada, the Strategic Highway Safety Plan, they have a 5-year plan that just got started. They do have the subgroups to focus. So there's one on impaired driving and a lot of these elements that we considered here. So if someone's passionate about making an impact in any of those categories, feel free to reach out to me and my contact information, and I can get you in touch with the folks that can help with that. And then you can hear what is happening across the state with your partners and see if we can, maybe you gather ideas that might be useful here.
thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the Sheriff's Department for doing all they can with the impaired drivers.
All right. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to line item 6, public hearing. 6.1 is discussion regarding the fiscal year 26-27 final budget, including but not limited to all funds within the Water Enterprise Fund, Wastewater Enterprise Fund, General Fund, Special Revenue Fund, Capital Improvement Program, rates, all city departments, budget process, timelines, goals, and existing budget, debit, staffing, including but not limited to reorganization, reclassification, employee position, and contracts, new positions, and other matters related thereto. Yes. Mr. Carson, we're going to take like a 10-minute break and then we'll let you get all set up and go. So right now we're going to take a 10-minute break. Call this meeting back into session. And before we get started on line item 6.1, I wanted to let everybody know that the city hall will be closed Monday for observation of Memorial Day, which I believe is the 25th. All right, Mr. Carson, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, members of council. Good evening. Robert Carson, City Treasurer for the record. So we're here tonight to go through the final approval of our FY27 budget, which we've gone through for the last couple of months. So hopefully it goes pretty quick, but there's still a robust conversation if there's still any outstanding issues. I'm going to turn it over to our Utilities Director, Song Kim, first to go through an update on the 5-year CIP for water and sewer, and then I'll give the overall numbers after he's finished.
Good evening, council members and mayor and acting city manager. This is Song Kim, utility director for the record. This is the list of the water enterprise fund proposed budget for fiscal year 26 and 27. For the water systems, we have total 17 proposed budget items for infrastructure improvement and the vehicle and equipment purchase, total of about $15 million. And where is the wastewater? I'm sorry. Okay, for the sewer enterprise fund, we have total 13 items, including vehicle and equipment purchase, total of $13 million for the fiscal year 26 and 27. We categorized the priority 1 and priority 2 based on the urgency and importance. However, by the nature of the water and wastewater businesses, most of the projects are in category 1 because the water and wastewater utilities must be operated and maintained in condition at all times for 24/7, 365 days all year long. So this is the list, and this is for sure. And I've showed you one. Oh, can you put it on the water? Okay. So I'm open now rather than going through every item. If you have any questions to any items for the budget for the water enterprise fund for fiscal year 26 and 27.
Councilwoman Zabriskie.
I'm just, I heard the projects that we got approved for the grant, and I guess I'm just curious, are any of those projects, is the Ricky tank in here or just the painting? Just the repair? The extra tank that we got approved for in the grant, was that included in your budget? And did we take it out after were those numbers taken out after we found out that we were gonna receive the grant monies?
It is still here. Yeah, we are anticipating accepting that grant money for the design of the water and the wastewater systems improvement. We have included in this budget proposal.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
And can you put it?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. I'm sorry. So to kind of
Councilman Hannan, go ahead.
thank you. Uh, I'm confused. So when I read this list, it's got 1.5 million for the recoding of the Ricky tank, and that's different than the new Ricky tank.
That's correct.
So I don't see the new Ricky tank in here. Did I miss that? That hasn't been funded yet?
The second rig tank is already budgeted in 25, 26 budget.
But it's not on this list that we're looking at.
This is 26 and 27 budget.
Okay.
So it was prior current year's budget.
Okay, so I think Ms. Zabriskie asked if it was removed from this list. I think that's what she was asking, and that was my confusion. So it's not reduced from this list.
Councilman Hannan,
Yeah.
Robert Carson, City Treasurer for the record. The way these projects work and the budgeting works, because they're not considered expenses in the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund, they're just considered cash out because they hit the asset accounts directly. It's a list of what we're planning on doing. So the second Ritchie tank was approved in the 25-26 budget. So you've already gone forward with that. So it's not going to show up on this list because this is the 5 years looking forward. So it's already been accounted for from a cash flow standpoint, and that cash flow standpoint, it'll be lessened by the grant that we receive.
Okay, I appreciate that because I thought the way that it came across is like it's coming off this list, but it's not on this list. That's just the point I wanted to make. So I understand that. Thank you.
Okay, can you put the wastewater fund here? Okay, thank you. This is sewer enterprise fund proposed capital project and including vehicle and equipment purchase. We categorized priority 1 and 2, but essentially those are all priority ones because we have to maintain and operate our system all the time, no matter what. But if we can move up to next year, that's what the priority 2 means. But essentially, these are all priority 1 project for us. That's same for the water fund too.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Hannan?
Sir, so my question is, as we go through this list, it's quite a high number. My concern is that we're going to come back in 27, 28 with a similar list. Is that going to be the trend? Are we going to?
Yeah, 27 and 28, and after that year, it is going to be reduced quite a bit because we see this is a very urgent project to be completed in this next fiscal year. So,
what I think what I'm trying to understand is that, and maybe I hope that I don't speak for anyone else here, but I think we're all probably curious when we approve something this large, we just want to make sure next year isn't the same, and the year after that's not the same, and next thing we know, we don't have any money left. So
no, that's not the case.
Okay.
Once we finish most of this project, the budget will be reduced quite a bit after
significantly. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Carson?
Robert Carson, City Treasurer for the record. The only thing that I would add is as we're looking at building a new wastewater plant, a lot of these will drop off and then it'll be more maintaining lift stations and things like that. So the major repairs and maintenance and other capital outlays that we have on the wastewater plant will kind of die off. So you should see these start going because again, the last couple of years, we've done a lot of deferred maintenance and really catch up on things that have been put off for years that we needed to do. So it seems high now, but it should start fading off the farther down we go.
Okay, thank you. I just want to put my concern on the record. Thank you.
Is that all you had?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So Robert Carson, City Treasurer for the record again. So after that, you'll see those numbers included in a couple of these slides later on. Tonight, what we really need to go through, we still have a couple of outstanding items. At our last budget workshop, we presented the human resources technician job, and it was asked by Councilman Torres that we have a conversation about it. So it's here again for your vote and your approval. We'll review the proposed changes to the tentative budget that was presented on April 2nd. A lot of these you've seen again or seen before at our last meeting earlier this month, but just go over again. And then we'll have other questions or discussion that you may have based on this budget. And then we'll have the approval. We'll have two separate approvals that are needed, but we'll get there after all the conversation we have. So again, we have the human resources technician position. We went through this at the last council or the last budget meeting that we had. This is really to alleviate a lot of the stress that's on our one person show that's running HR. It provides backup. It'll provide more focused guidance or more focused projects between the two employees, and it'll allow our HR person to take time off if needed, because if that person takes off, we're kind of at a standstill with HR. So I don't want to rehash it too much as we've had that discussion, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions on that? Councilman Torres, go ahead.
Thank you guys for the discussion between council and the executive level. Appreciate it. I see the need. We do need to have some type of succession planning. This will help with that. I also want to make sure, and I believe all of council would like to see very delineated and specific duties for each. So that way everybody knows what page they're supposed to be on. And as we continue to grow and we need better and better customer service, and I think our staff does an amazing job. I'm not saying that they're doing a poor service. I think we also need to focus on a city with less, without making it a policy across the board, with making sure that our people are working from City Hall and not working as much from home. So that's a suggestion that I would strongly encourage. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So if you guys don't want to make a separate motion on just this position, we can have it as part of the final approval, and we can move on. Any objections?
Thank you. I'm good with making it final approval.
Perfect.
If the rest of the board's okay with that.
Perfect. All right, so moving on. So our general fund revenues. So this is going to be a real high level highlight because again, we've talked a lot of this to death. You can see our total revenue from our tentative budget to our final budget. Our tentative budget was $23.5 million. Our final budget's just over $23.5 million. So not a whole lot of movement on the revenue side. That's where we expect it to be. The biggest hit is the $10 million to the RTC reimbursable that we expect to expend and then receive based on the construction projects that we have. But I'd be happy to answer any questions on that piece. Okay. So then we have our operating expenditures, which are just departments. Again, a lot of these that we've highlighted, we talked about at the last budget workshop. These are the differences. The mayor's elevated because it includes the public information officer salary included in that. Facilities is up because of the facilities master plan carryover that we have to do. We expected it to be started, so we wouldn't have to carry over as high of an expenditure in this one. Instead, we're going to carry over the full amount. Streets has gone up for the same reason. Animal control has gone down because they're postponing one of their truck purchases until fiscal year 28. The parks has gone up slightly because we added a vehicle, and we did take the direction from council from the last meeting, taking the fishing pond park and taking the funds allocated to that and moving it over to the out-of-town park. You won't see any difference in there because that money was already allocated in the tentative budget. We're just shifting it to a different project, so there's no increase for that. And then the building department, they requested an extra $10,000, and Ms. Burkle, forgive me, I can't remember exactly what it was for off the top of my head, but it is a slight increase there. I don't remember if it was for postage or something else. But That's the expenditures. So we've gone up from $19.4 million to just over $20 million in the operating expenses. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about those.
Hold on, Councilwoman Zaberski.
Thank you. I think I also had questions about, I'm pretty sure it was 15,000 for the building department.
Yeah,
Yeah, 15.
I believe there were two different line items and I cannot remember what they were for off the top of my head, but I will get
Okay.
back to you.
I'm going back to it. Yeah, I think that Miss Charity will probably be able to answer both. One was the 40,000 that was for code enforcement, and then the other one was the 15,000 that was for building.
So I can answer the code enforcement one. That is for towing and cleanup. So we added.
Oh, yeah.
So we're just moving that from the building department to the code enforcement department.
Okay.
And
Charity Burkle, building official for the record. I don't remember saying anything about $15,000 and I super apologize.
Yes.
I don't know where that came from. Is there any notes or?
I may have notes back in my office, but I can reduce that amount too. So if it's something that's not needed, I can. Oh, is it for? Oh, okay. I may have put it in the wrong department and I apologize.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. So the next slide, so we have the other expenditures and fund balance and other sources and uses. So we have the RTC expenditures, which is the RTC reimbursable. It matches the revenue because every dollar we spend, we get reimbursed for. We do have a new category that transfers out, which is the $2 million transfer from the general fund to the capital project fund that we've discussed. And then our contingency account, which is up to 3% of your total expenditures, which we have in there, which is 903. So with all that said, our ending fund balance goes from $9.8 million to $7.4 million. And most of that is that $2 million transfer, which wasn't included in the tentative budget. So if we were to receive every penny that we budgeted in revenue and spent every penny that we had budgeted in expenditures, that's where we'd end up at the end of the year. So any questions on the general fund?
Explain.
Councilman Mendoza and then Councilwoman Zaberski.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you explain the $2 million transfer?
Yeah, so the $2 million transfer, we had talked about taking $2 million from the general fund and transferring it over to the capital projects fund, which would legally restrict those funds to acquiring or constructing capital assets. So kind of a planning for the future, and we can start using those funds and get that expenditure out of the general fund and just account for it all in the capital projects fund.
Yeah, I remember having the discussion. I don't know that we made a decision though. Did anybody have any concerns with that?
I remember the discussion. So the end of the discussion was, what if we don't need to, or what if we don't want to do that transfer? All this is doing is earmarking that money. So towards the end of next year, as we get through it and we see the general fund balance where it's at, and we say, we don't want to do any of this transfer, we don't have to do it. If we want to transfer half of it, we can do that to start saving more slowly. It's just a placeholder in there.
So this is a placeholder for the end fund balance at the end of next fiscal year.
Yes. So
and then we'll be able to make those decisions. No transfers will be made until we
right.
have a
So
conversation.
yeah. So when we have quarterly updates towards the end of next year, I'll have a more solid idea on where we're going to end for the year, and we can have that conversation on if we want to do the transfer, if we don't. It'll be an end of year thing. It's not going to happen on July 1st. It'll be something that's done in consultation with you, but this just gives us the ability to do it if we choose to.
All right, I'm good with the placeholder.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Zaberski.
I'm not trying to be a pain. The clerk's office has their 15,000 for postage.
Okay.
So if I don't, do you add, so is it 30,000 total for postage for a building? Because it's listed as a line item under building for outside services. So if it's like education or training new hires or something like that, I just want to make sure that I know what it's for.
Perfect. I honestly, without going back and doing some research or having conversations, I can't remember what it is. So we can approve the final budget with that removed. I'm totally fine with that. And if it was something that was needed, then I'm sure we can make it up somewhere in one of the other departments too.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
So
Thank you.
I apologize. Okay. So again, just highlighting the changes that were there. So we had the PIO salary moved over to the mayor, a $65,000 increase for request from the sheriff's department. The facilities department had the $250,000 increase for the carryover, so on and so forth. So our special revenue and our capital projects fund, the court administrative assessment fund, we added $5,000 for one of their software requests. They had originally moved 10,000 out of that and added it to the general fund, but found another software where we needed to add it back. So there's $5,000 increase in that fund. The transient lodging tax fund, that went up by just shy of $2,000, which is an increase to the insurance bill for the property and casualty insurance. So when we did the tentative budget, it was just an estimate. Pool pack finalized the rates, and this is what it'll cost. Other than that, there were no other changes to these funds. So, any questions on those ones? Cool. All right, so the water enterprise funds. So the revenues, you'll see we started at $14.1 million. We're going to budget $14.4 million in revenues. The biggest difference is contributed revenue. We started with 300,000. We bumped it up to 600,000, just estimating. We forgot one of the, or we omitted one of the developer contributions where we're getting pretty close to $1 million, $2 million. So we added $300,000 to that amount. And then the expenses, you can see the operating expenses, they changed slightly as we finalized the health insurance and the increase that we have in that. So that's the biggest difference in the expenses. It's a little over $300,000 total between services and supplies and then other changes that we had. Nothing major in there. They're just small amounts that added up. And then our beginning net position, or our change in net position, you can see is budgeted at just about $175,000. Now we expect that to be higher. Again, our revenues tend to come in higher than what we budget for, and our expenses tend to come in slightly lower. So we expect that number to be higher, but that's just what we budget for. So in the end, we'll end up just shy of $142 million in that fund with fund balance. And then this is where you'll see the effect of Mr. Kim's presentation. This is the enterprise fund cash flows. And this just gives us an idea of where the cash for this fund could end up. So we're going to start the year with $47.5 million. The biggest outflow of cash will be the $15.5 million that was presented in capital outflows or capital outlays. We don't expect every dollar to be expended this coming fiscal year. We just budget for it all in one. And then if the project takes 2 or 3, then it plays catch up. So with that budget in mind, we end up at just over $34 million. So it will most likely end up higher. We just don't know where. It just depends on timing of projects and how much work can get done. So, are there any questions on the water fund? Yep. And then the sewer fund, again, the same thing. Service fees, we bumped up to $5.8 million as we got to the actual estimated amount for FY26. We jumped those up a little bit because of where we're at this year and the proposed increase going forward. So our overall total revenue was budgeted in the tentative budget at $7.2 million, and it's bumped up to $7.5 million. Again, the other went up from 500 to 600,000, and most of that is developer contributions that were omitted in the tentative budget until we got to where we're at. And then on the expense side, same thing with the water fund, true up of health insurance benefits and those types of things drove up the operating expenses $200,000. But we did bring the budget up to, our budgeted change in net position at $47,000, which again, we expect to be much higher. This is just a conservative budgeting model that we follow. So our ending net position is budgeted at $58.6 million. And then just like the water fund, the true up on the acquisition and construction of capital assets went from $7.7 million to $13 million. So that puts kind of a scary dent in the cash flow projections. But again, we don't expect everything to be expended right now. So there will be a catch up and it will be spread out over time as we go forward. And then again, with the new wastewater treatment plant, we'll be able to start building those things up too. So any questions on the sewer fund? Cool. So that's all I really had to talk about. I'd be happy to answer any questions or concerns that you may have on the budget. And then once we're done with that, I'll lay out the two different motions that we'll need.
Does council have any other further? Oh, we do. Councilman Mendoza, then Councilwoman Zabriskie.
Thank you for explaining all that. I do have one question. Do you have an idea of what the amount of grant funding that may be coming in this fiscal year to offset some of these costs?
In which fund?
Let's go citywide. Let's go citywide. What are we looking for as far as grants for some of these capital improvements? And
so hopefully it'll be in the couple $1 million range. Nothing's been awarded just yet. I know we're chasing a couple $1 million in EDA funding, some other smaller grants that we're putting in for. As far as that goes, we're going to have ongoing conversations with our grant administrator where we lay out what we need to do. You know, this helps, but really immediate needs and identifying any grant funding that we can go after. So I can tell you we're going to go after as much as we possibly can and get as much as we can in terms of dollar amount. We just don't know what's really out there.
Would you be the one that creates a strategic plan of what type of grants to go after, or who would be doing that?
I would be part of it. It would also be the other members of the staff working alongside with the grant administrator to really identify those projects that are eligible for grant funding that we really need to get done.
Okay. Do you guys have something set up to create a list and have a direction?
We are getting ready to start that. I know the grant administrator's been here for a little over a month and she's hit the ground running.
Is she over there?
Yeah,
Did you look at
she's
her?
over in the corner. But we are working on those items to get it going.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Zabriskie.
Just purely out of curiosity, why did we put the sheriff's ask under the mayor's budget and then the fire department under council? Was there like reasoning for that? Or can we put them both in the same spot?
We can put them, we can put them both in the same spot.
Yeah,
It was
take it out of my budget, put it on council.
It was just one of those things. When the mayor asked me, I was thinking about his budget, so I put it in there because there's community support lines in both of them.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, that makes sense. If his also read community support, then
Yes.
I wouldn't have any issue with it, but there's just sheriff and then the fire department falls under community support for council, so. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the sheriff falls under the $65,000 that was requested by the sheriff's department should be under community support for the mayor, but
Okay,
under the mayor's budget.
yeah, I think those two should be in the same
Yeah,
spot.
I can move it easily.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Hannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Carson, for your presentation. You've done a hell of a job again. I don't know what else to say. That was the words that came to my mind. With the third year of a balanced budget, we're actually doing stuff. A lot of really, really good things. I know some of the big expenses for the sewer and water are kind of got a lot. I think I'll speak for myself. Got me a little nervous. You know, for so many years, Fernley didn't do anything. We were just kind of stuck, and so it's really nice to see our ability to finally do things, provide those services, those amenities that the folks want and need and deserve. I wanted to make a comment about the dedicating funds for future projects. And we have so many projects going on. I mean, just in our budget now, we would easily be able to pull that 2 million out and apply it to so many of these things here. So there are so many opportunities, but I like to see a purpose. When we came in here, we had a conversation about an account that had, you know, over $10 million in it. And people said, what's it for? And I said, we don't have it allocated for anything specific. And so there was some conversation about taxation without representation and what the state thinks of us just collecting money and sticking it in a fund. And so it's great to be able to show those folks this money is earmarked for these projects, the things that we've been talking about for so long that we're finally going to make a reality. So I just want to thank you and your staff. Like I said, a hell of a job. Again, the third year that we're doing this. So thank you, and see what happens next.
Thank you.
Councilman Torres.
I wanted to say thank you as well. We, in the past 5 years, have had some enormous growth and things coming. Thank you for year 3, 25 out of 25 years that we've had to submit a balanced budget to the state by statute. So that's not new. We've done a lot. I think to underscore our predecessors would be not doing them any justice. We're going into our 25th year as a city. I want to tip my hat to them and make sure that they are very much appreciated. A lot of them are still around. Several of them have passed, but they did the best job that they could with what they had. So I just don't want to send that message that the people who came before us weren't doing it, because I don't want the people after us to say that we're not doing a good job. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Great presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, if there is no other discussion with council, I will open it up for public input at this time. Is there anybody on Zoom? Nobody on the phone? No, okay, I will open it back up for discussion with council, staff. Any other questions? Everybody good? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So before we go there, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor.
go ahead.
2 different motions, and because there is fire department donations included in this, we'll need one motion to approve the $110,000 that's set aside for the fire district, and then an approval of the remainder of the budget.
Okay, Councilman Hannan?
You want 2 separate motions, or you want that in one motion?
2 separate motions.
I make
please,
a
on the
motion
advice of
to
council.
approve the expenditure, the one-time payment to the fire department for $110,000, and that's North Lyon County Fire Protection District, for the record.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Hannan, seconded by Councilwoman Zaborski. Please vote.
Mr. Mayor, before we take a vote, we just
What?
before we take a vote, could you call on Councilman Mendoza?
I have my light on.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
That's all right.
Councilman Mendoza.
I just want to make sure we keep ourselves from any more legal action, and per NRS 281A 420 to disclose my conflict of interest, since I am a battalion chief at North Lyon Fire, and I'll be withdrawing my vote and allowing you guys to make that decision. So
Thank you. Now the 3 remaining councilmen and woman, please vote. Motion carries 3-0. Now looking for another motion. Councilman Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion to pass the rest of the budget as presented tonight.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Torres, seconded by Councilman Hannan. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great presentation and great job on the budget.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to ordinances 7.1, introductory to first reading, Bill 386, the ordinance establishing a Fernley Power District as a municipal electric utility for the city of Fernley pursuant to NRS 266.290, setting forth the public utility proposed to be established, estimated cost thereof, and the proposed manner and the terms of payment, defining the initial service area within the Victory Logistic District, establishing the Fernley Power District Board as a governing body of the district, and prescribing its composition, members, selection, and power and duties, delegating to the board administrative and regulatory authority over the district and other matters properly related thereto. Ms. Rambo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of council, Michelle Rambo, Planning Director for the record. This is a first reading. So there will be no major discussion or decisions tonight, but we will be back at the second meeting in June. So I think that's June 17th. There are some different public hearing requirements for this. So it kind of puts off the second reading for another meeting than what we would normally do. So that is where we are.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Zabriskie?
Sorry, real fast. I know that the planning commission generally has the final say as far as the conditional use permit, unless council appeals it. If there's any way that we can bring it back to council regardless before final approval, I would feel better about that.
The conditional use permit for the potential future power plant? Yes, it has not been submitted yet. So once it is submitted, you do have the ability to call it forward to you if you want to after the planning commission. So
do I need to wait until the planning commission hears it in order to call it forward to council, or can I just ask for it to come forward?
I don't know if there's a technical time frame.
There is a technical time frame, and I think it is the 10 days.
The 10-day appeal period.
Following the planning commission.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we'll keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Mendoza?
Yeah, I was reading through thank you. I just I was reading through the list you guys sent over. And I was talking about a franchise agreement. And I was just curious of what sets those rates, or who sets those rates as far as the district will deliver. There's a sentence here that says the district will deliver nearly $24 million in annual revenue to the Fernley budget, which will increase as the services. How is that accounted for, and who decides what is charged for the franchise fees?
I'm going to defer that to Mark IV. That is outside my scope of knowledge.
Thank you, Michelle. Bob Sweeten, counsel for Mark IV for the record. Councilman Mendoza, obviously the requirement is estimates statutorily. So what we did was take what is going at market now and being discussed with end use off takers and use that as the baseline. So that's how the rate is set through a private power purchase agreement.
Is there like a formula or something, or a limit or a minimum?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, certainly there are formulas that go into play, like on how cost recovery may occur. I would submit that those will be, issues for discussion that the Fernley Power Board, if formed, would be taking up more directly. But the most straightforward answer is they're set at market. The demand is very high for electricity right now, and so what the end use off taker, whether that be advanced manufacturing or a data center, what they're willing to pay ultimately for that power and for the speed to power that the Fernley Power District would offer, that's what would set that rate, which could be subject to change. I mean, right now the entire United States is so incredibly constrained that supply and demand.
Yeah,
economics.
absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So with this number, we really just kind of took a market value is where I'm gathering.
Well,
is there any money on the table that we left as a city potentially?
Well, I would submit that, these are as estimates right now. I don't believe that the city's leaving any money on the table. I think this is just like step one is forming the district. Once it's formed, we'll be able to finalize those contracts. The way the ordinance is laid out, the Power District Board would be that regulatory authority, so that the city's not in a position where it would be leaving money. I would submit, the $24 million estimate. If we build nothing, 100% of nothing is zero, but a franchise agreement on a long-term 20-year power purchase agreement is additional funds that would not be necessarily leaving money on the table.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to line item 7.2, first reading for Bill 387, amending Fernley Municipal Code Title II Administrative Chapter 8, Mayor and City Council, Section 2-08-01, salaries and annual increase by adjusting the salary of the mayor and the city council. Mr. Mortensen.
Aaron Mortson, City Attorney. This is the first reading. This will come back for a second reading and discussion next month. This item was originally requested by Councilwoman McKay and then modified by Councilman Torres, and will modify the salaries for both the mayor and the city council to match the system that is designed in NRS for the city of Carson City, and it will create a similar system for the city of Fernley. Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Zabriskie.
In our budget, were these salaries taken into consideration for this year's budget or no?
No, because they can't go into effect until November of 2028 because you can't, you as a council cannot vote for your own raises. You can only vote a raise in that will take effect after the next election. And so none of these will go into effect for at least a few years.
Thank you.
Councilman Mendoza.
Yeah, I got one question for you, Aaron. Too fast. With changing this, will the increases happen automatically as the county figures theirs out?
There we go. Aaron Mortson, city attorney. Yes, the way it's designed is that it ties it to the way the county does it with their commissioners. And so it'll automatically trigger a change when the county triggers their change.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll now move on to 7.3, discussion possible action to introduce Bill 384, ordinance modifying Fernley Municipal Code, Section 10, business license regulations, updating definitions, adding an event organized definition, removing a hobby crafter exemption. Ms. Swanson?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Kim Swanson for the record. So this is the introduction and first reading of Bill 284. No, sorry, 384. City staff has been working to streamline the special use permit process, making it easier for individuals and organizations to host special events in the city. So the changes in the attached Title 10 business license definitions will help support that effort. And I'm here for questions.
Councilwoman Zabriskie.
I know this is just the first reading, so that there'll be more information, but there was a couple of, hang on, my notes are more scatterbrained. I remember, so I'm just gonna go to the agenda item. Sorry, Kim.
That's okay.
First reading. Okay. We have a couple of agenda items that are like similar, so I think that my questions are on the next one, so I'm so sorry. On 8.1. Well, let me just ask you, it might come out of both. Part of it was that the clerks were asking that event organizers inform them that the event was going to happen, right?
Yes.
Before they could start advertising. But I was curious if there was like a formal process that we were going to go through for people actually saying, hey, just so you know, I'm throwing this event. There's like a formal process. It wasn't just letting them know, because the second paragraph on there, it says a list of vendors 2 days before an event would be submitted to the clerk. And I don't see how 2 days is going to be enough time if we have to make any kind of changes or anything like that. And then we don't want vendors to just slump off if the city goes, sorry, you don't have a license with us. We're not.
So so that's part of the resolution. Whoops, sorry.
Right.
And so we're not hearing that resolution tonight. But we will have a special event organizer packet that gives the event organizer all of the information they need. So they just need to let us know that an event is taking place wherever, just so we are aware of it and, we can help them advertise or whatever they need. And then 2 days before the event, that organizer should know who is taking place or who is participating in that special event. So then they will come in and pay us whatever that vendor fee is per vendor.
Okay, and
Did
is
that
the
answer your
clerk's office,
question?
kind of, is
Okay.
clerk's office gonna go through and check that the vendors have licensing or no,
No,
we're just,
no.
okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
It's all going to be with the special event organizer.
But that's kind of, well, that's more of what I was worried about was I don't know how our city clerks are going to vet every single vendor at every single special event within 2 days.
No.
And we're gonna have also maybe like a checklist of a timeline as far
Yes.
as let us know by here, have this turned in by here.
Right.
And XYZ.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I
Nope.
will organize my questions better.
It's
Thank you.
okay. Anything else?
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to line item 8, resolutions, and 8.1 was pulled to the next meeting. So we'll move on to 8.2, possible action to adopt resolution 26-010, adding incoming and outgoing tax services for the city of Fernley service fee schedule. Swanson?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Kim Swanson for the record. With the recent closure of the office, that has led to a noticeable increase in fax services being requested for the city. Many individuals and businesses who previously relied on that location are now coming into City Hall looking for this service. As a result, demand for fax-related assistance has increased significantly. So staff is requesting the addition of incoming, outgoing fax services, adding that service to the city fee schedule. The proposed fee is $1 for the first page and $1.50 for each additional page. This uptick highlights the continued importance of fax services for customers who require secure and reliable document delivery. And I am here for questions.
No questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Councilwoman Zaborski?
Oh, do we already offer this service?
No.
No? Is it gonna take a lot? I mean, what if you're inundated with people who are wanting to send and receive faxes?
So we haven't been inundated yet, but we've had requests. So we just need, this is just adding something to our city services resolution that we can, when people do come in, we, can tell them we can fax for you because now we have a fee schedule that we can fax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Hannan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve resolution 26-010, adding fax service to the city service fee schedule.
Councilman Mendoza?
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Councilman Hannan, seconded by Councilman Mendoza. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to line item 8.3, discussion possible action to adopt resolution 26-008, authorizing the city staff to submit an application to the U.S. Department of Transportation for safety streets and roads for all fiscal year 2026 implementation grant for pedestrian safe improvements along US 95A corridor in the vicinity of Fernley High School.
For the record. So there is a grant opportunity from the U.S. Department of Transportation called the Safe Streets and Roads for All. They are soliciting grant applications for projects that prevent fatalities and serious injuries on our roads and streets that involve all road users, including pedestrians, bicyclists, public transportation, motorists, and commercial vehicle operators. These projects can be planning in nature, infrastructure, and behavior and operational initiatives. The city of Fernley is eligible for applying for this funding. Staff recommends submitting an application for a project that will complete the design and construction to, one, establish the school zone at Fernley High School on US 95A, install school zone flashers and reduce the speed limit within this area during school hours, and two, install an enhanced pedestrian crossing at Royal Oaks Drive. As we know, pedestrian safety deficiencies along this corridor have been documented in our city documents dating back from the city's Safe Routes to School Plan that was, I believe, published in 2011, the 2020 city's Transportation Master Plan, and now the city's 2026 Local Road Safety Plan. So if we get this grant, we'll be working with our partners, Fernley High School and the Nevada Department of Transportation. We have reached out to both entities to get their support. Financial implications. The grant requires a 20% cost share of the total project costs. If awarded, this match would need to be budgeted in fiscal year 2028. The estimated cost share is just under $800,000. The total ask is going to be just under $4 million. The timeline. So the application is due next week on May 26th. Award announcement deadline is in December of this year. If this city is awarded, we will bring the grant agreement back to you guys for approval. And that might be in the springtime of next year. And then the city would be able to implement the project during the summer. This project does align with the city's 2021-2026 strategic plan as it contributes to a livable community. It connects and engages our community. It's progress through partnership, and it promotes robust municipal services. And with that, I'm open to any questions you guys have.
Have Councilman Hannan, then Councilman Torres, then Councilman Mendoza.
I was prepared to make a motion. Good evening.
Okay.
It's good to see you. I feel like there's a lot of ears that are ringing tonight. This has come multiple times.
Yes, sir.
And this is so good to hear. I was ready to make a motion.
The other council members have
I got questions.
just a question. Okay, Councilman Mendoza.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. Quick question. Have you reached out to the school district to see if they'd be willing to help subsidize that 20% requirement from the grant? Are more than happy to pay the 20%, but it's also going to benefit the school district, which has the ability to help.
I have not, but we have time to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to reach out to them and get them on board as a partner. And I know we're talking with the high school, but to get the school district to help with that 20%, because it's all good for all of us. So thank you.
Councilman Mendoza, Councilman Hannan did, holy moly. Councilman Torres, you're good. Okay, Councilman Hannan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to adopt resolution 26008, authorizing the city staff to submit an application to the U.S. Department of Transportation for safe streets and roads for ALL FY 2026 implementation grant for pedestrian safety improvements along the US 95A corridor in the vicinity of Fernley High School.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Hannan, second by Councilwoman Zabriskie. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Tricia. We'll now move on to line item 9, staff reports 9.1, discussion possible action, application for assistance from the Urban Design and Preservation Division, Design Preservation Rapid Assistant Team, D. Pratt, on the site plan for the out-of-town park.
Thank you, Mayor. Tricia Livingston, Grant Administrator for the record. So the APA, the American Planning Association's Urban Design and Preservation Division's Design and Preservation Rapid Assistance Team, or DPRAT, is a pro bono program that supports under-resourced communities and organizations. The DPRAT team will provide free planning assistance to local governments like ours that need planning support to address specific problems or challenges. I just want to make sure that you guys understand that this is not a grant application. City staff would like to apply for this opportunity to develop a site plan for the Fernley Out-of-Town Park. Back in 2017, the Parks Master Plan adopted by the City Council identified the creation of a sports complex at the Out-of-Town Park and the possible relocation or improvement of the rodeo grounds as major goals. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to move on either of these projects. Staff recommends applying for this assistance to get this project off the ground. The application was due May 15th. So I did apply for it. if you don't want me to move forward, I can give them a call or an email and let them know that we want to pull their application. The application did ask for assistance. And if we are awarded, the volunteers will meet Fernley to discuss the project, review pertinent plans and documents, conduct a 2 or 3 day workshop, a stakeholder workshop, which you guys would be invited, and develop a site plan for the park, which will be presented to council for approval. Our responsibilities on our end would include staff time, dedication, community outreach, publication of publicizing the partnership with DPRAT, rounding up the troops for the community and stakeholder meetings, coordinating logistics of the virtual meetings and in-person workshops, and providing refreshments for the workshops. Financial implications are estimated at $5,250. This estimate includes a $5,000 sponsorship to the group and a $250 for refreshments for the in-person workshop. The timeline on this, if we were awarded or selected for this opportunity, we would start in the fall. Any questions?
Well, we have Councilman Torres and then Councilwoman Zaberski.
I was gonna make a motion after questions.
Did you have a question, Councilwoman Zaberski?
Yes. The 5,200, I didn't hear the end of it. That's not per planner, that's
Total.
total. Okay,
Total.
thank you.
If there's no other questions, Councilman Torres.
I move to approve the submittal of an application to the Urban Design and Preservation Division, Design Preservation Rapid Assistance Team for the Out-of-Town Park Project.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Torres, seconded by Councilman Hannon. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to line item 9.2, we already heard. We'll move on to 9.3, discussion possible action to approve the commemorative 25th anniversary statue and artwork to be temporarily installed at the Main Street Art Park for the July 1st, 25th anniversary unveiling ceremony, with future relocation to the roundabout site upon approval of the roundabout improvement plan.
Good evening, council, mayor, and staff. My name is Jessica Murdoch. I am the Community Development Program Manager for the record. Next slide, please. Never mind. So to start us off, I'm just going to give a quick overview of the 25th anniversary. In May of last year, City Council approved the fiscal year budget for 2025.
Could you slide over towards the microphone so we can hear you a little better? Thank you.
You mean for once I'm not loud enough? Can you hear me now? Okay. My apologies to the audience. I will start over. A quick overview of the 25th anniversary. City Council approved the 25-26 fiscal year budget, and that allocated funds for the 25th anniversary in the amount of $100,000. After that, I myself, when I was the community development, the development program, I was recently promoted. I apologize. My old title was Development Services Coordinator. I then took over as the chair committee for the 25th anniversary and acted as the staff representative for the 25th anniversary as well. We started coordinating these events and centered on a discussion on having the activities from July 1st to July 3rd, spanning over 3 days and establishing a 3-day festival celebrating our 25th anniversary and trying to loop in as many nonprofit organizations and community members. And through that initiative, we started having internal meetings with staff, and then we opened it up to public meetings starting on September 24th. We kept those meetings going until October. I apologize. We had a 3-month gap due to the birth of my first child. You might remember the last time I was up here, I was 8 months pregnant. So we did a 3-month gap and then we came back in February. In February, we did our official call to artists. That call to artists was in response to establishing a statue that was going to help commemorate the 25th anniversary and our anniversary for the city of Fernley. As of March 2nd, we received 2 submissions, which we reviewed following on March 3rd. And our internal staff committee, we made the final determination that neither proposal fully aligned with our project scope and what we wanted our 25th anniversary to represent. So on March 4th, the staff extended an outreach effort to additional artists, which included bronze sculptors, steel, and other metal artists. Now I'm gonna pass on this presentation to April.
Thank you. Good evening, Council and Mayor. April Hami, Executive Administrative Assistant, City Manager in Mayor's Office. So as you might imagine, we're at crunch time. So reaching out to more artists and doing another call to artists wasn't really in the cards because that's time consuming and that would delay further having something in place to present during the 25th anniversary. So I made hundreds of calls, multiple sculptors, metal artists, art companies, everywhere, to try and see what we could come up with to meet our time restraints. Finally, a gentleman named David Spielberg, owner of Art and Bronze in Camarillo, California, stated that he could provide a rearing wild country horse for $21,000, which is extremely low. If you're to look at bronze statues, they range anywhere from $30,000 to $80,000 and up for just the sculpture. We then reached out to a couple still artists, one in Fallon, and then also Twisted Still, who's a local artist here. And the artist in Fallon was doing more of a 1D flat metal art that you could not have a full view traveling around the roundabout. And Moffett, Twisted Still, presented a steel rock base and a bighorn sheep and an eagle with a wingspan, cowboy hat, stainless steel Fs to go all around the sculpture. So you would have something visual from each access point into the roundabout. So it was more, even though it's not 3D, you could see something from each angle as you entered the roundabout. The weight for the horse is going to be 9 feet tall, and it's about 675 to 800 pounds. The final weight determination won't be available until after the fabrication, but the base dimensions are 80 inches by 50 inches. And then it would be mounted with plates with 4 pre-drilled holes with 1-inch bolts for stability. The tail will rest on the base plate for additional support. Also, the steel piping would be reinforced into the horse's legs for more safety. And also, if there was any damage, if there was an accident, it basically just takes away that portion of the leg instead of the entire leg and keeps it standing on that base. As far as Twisted Still, they would have the 60 by 96 platform and the steel rock base, which will include a trap door that you can actually enter to adjust if any adjustments need to be made to that sculpture. They also would provide a bighorn sheep, metal bighorn sheep, the eagle with expanding wings to commemorate the 250th anniversary, cowboy hat, which signifies the vaqueros, and 3 to 4 Fs. So you can see those from each entry point. City of Fernley would be responsible for the American flag which would be about $2,700. It would be about 30 feet. The flag could be 6 feet to 10 feet, depending on which dimension fits better with the sculpture. And that would be centered behind the horse with the fabricated rock base, solar lighting. And if we did get approval to move it to the roundabout, then a concrete pad would be placed underneath that sculpture. The cost of that would be $6,000 to $11,000. However, Twisted Steel is working with us to find a contractor to donate that, and we're pretty certain that we will be able to do that. So if you break down the fees, the bronze horse is $21,000. That includes delivery. The fabrication for Twisted Steel, which is the steel rock base, the bighorn sheep, the eagle, the Fs, the cowboy hats, that is $15,000, not to exceed $17,000, because we added the eagle at the end. And we did not put up a rendering of the statue because we would like to unveil on July 1st, so we don't want it out to the public. However, all of you were emailed what the rendering, what we hope it to look like when it's complete. So staff would recommend that council approve the commemorative 25th anniversary statue and artwork to be temporarily installed at the Main Street Art Park. And I think we have a slide for this will be the temporary location if approved. We have that cement pad where the artichoke or bottle cap gazebo was located previously, but that is not structurally engineered, so we cannot put the horse on that and the rest of the rock formations on that pad, but it would be to the right where you can see the arrow. And all of this will be fabricated to be able to move with little problems. Okay, so back to the motion. To be temporarily installed at the Main Street Art Park for the July 1st, 25th anniversary unveiling ceremony with future relocation to the roundabout site upon approval of the roundabout improvement plan. I would also like if you could amend the motion to approve the invoice of $21,000 for Art of Bronze and the not to exceed invoice of $17,000 for Twisted Steel, so we can get moving on this. And I am available for questions.
So Councilman Hannon, then Councilwoman Zaberski, and Councilman Mendoza. Does somebody want to make a motion, or does somebody have a question?
Mine's just questions.
Okay, Councilman Hannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. A great presentation. I'm a little disappointed that we don't have the mayor on top of the horse with a hand that's waving when people come by. I thought that was going to be part of it, but apparently not.
Well, at $50,000, you're not going to get that.
Well, I think maybe we can have the mayor donate that. It looks great. I saw the rendering. I mean, this is like above and beyond our expectations, really. You know, when I think I brought this up last year, we were talking about let's just put some gravel and some weed barrier so that it doesn't look like a vegetable garden gone awry. You know, I think everyone's waiting for this. Why the delay? I know it's going to be unveiled at the art park. I always call it the rock park. What is the time frame to get it in the roundabout? I thought it was going to be before the end of the year, but then somebody told me, tapped on my shoulder, a little birdie told me that it might not be till next year. Is that the case, or do we know? Or
We are waiting for the plans to be approved by council from design workshop.
okay,
And then as soon as those are approved, then it starts going to motion. At that time, we'll get a project schedule and take it from there. I mean, potentially it could take until next year, but it shouldn't.
okay. Fair enough. Just it's amazing. So great work. Thanks for all your hard work. I know you guys worked hard on this, and I know you were here, and you look a lot different now after the baby. You look great, and we're happy for that. I think we just can't wait for this. So thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Zaberski, then Councilman Mendoza, and then Councilman Torres.
Hi, Jess, I'm so happy you're back.
Thank
I just had a quick question. The extra 20 or 30,000 that's gonna go into this, is that coming out of the 100,000 that we budgeted, or is that extra?
It's coming out of the budget that you're already allocated for the 100,000.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Mendoza.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, is if this is within the budget that was allocated with the 100,000, and it sounds like it is.
Yes, it is.
But the other question I have now is, if we approve the 7,500 down payment for Twisted Steel, that's just the down payment. Should we be approving in this motion the full amount of $15,000, since we're gonna have to pay them anyways? And we are paying the full amount for the bronze statue.
I would ask that you would motion to approve the Twisted Steel invoice for a not to exceed 17,000. He believes he can do it for the 15, but it would not exceed 17.
Okay, Councilman Torres.
All right, I'm going to try to get this right. I move to approve the commemorative 25th anniversary statue and artwork to be temporarily installed at the Main Street Art Park for the July 1st, 25th anniversary of the unveiling ceremony, with future relocation to the roundabout site upon approval of the roundabout improvement plan, with a item amount not to exceed 17,000 for Twisted Steel.
Perfect.
My second.
We have a motion by Councilman Torres, seconded by Councilman Hannon. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Do we need another motion for the 21? Does there need to be two motions or?
Torres already motioned the entire for the 21,000 and for the 17,000. One motion is fine for both.
Okay.
Correct?
Okay, we got it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
We do have one more thing I'd like to share with everyone. We also, part of the 25th anniversary celebration, we ordered coins. One coin is 0.999 silver. They are numbered 1 through 50, and you can see the one to the left. That is the coin that is silver. Those are $250. And then we also have this silver plated. It's the picture to the right, has a little more color in it. Those are $35, and those are numbered 1 through 250. Pre-order coins go live on the City of Fernley website June 1st. All monies must be received by June 22nd, or they go back into circulation. And this is just more information, history that's on the cards for each of the coins. Both of the cards, the coins come with this history on the cards. I do have the coins here today if anyone would like to see them on council or the public.
I will say, when we ordered this pure silver ones, what we're charging for those is what it actually costs the city to buy, with the price that silver was at the time we bought them, but it's gone up since then. So before you even buy the coins, they're worth more than what you're going to pay for them.
Correct.
So I just wanted everybody to know that too. The city's not making money on them.
I'll take 50 of them. So
You'll take 50?
Yes.
Okay, I'll put you down. 50 of the silver?
I'll pay $300 for the number one coin. I'm serious.
Okay.
Just give me $300.
Maybe we should just bid for these instead of selling them, huh?
Yeah, there we go. But so go once, twice, 3 times, $300.
Okay. Where's my gavel?
Right. And as far as the contractor stuff goes, I will assist with labor to do any accent lighting or any power that needs to be required within the roundabout. We just have to get material covered.
That is appreciated. Thank you
So,
very
yeah,
much. I'm sure
absolutely.
we
Thank
can
you.
get that covered.
And hopefully we could waive the permit fees for me.
You know, I think we're talking to the right
Bargaining.
people to do that. So
Yeah. Okay,
thank
all right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you
Great
very much.
presentation. We'll move on to line item 10, public forum. This portion of the meeting, vote of the public. If you wish to comment, you can do so in the meeting in person or raise your hand, feature Zoom, star 9 participating phone. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetition. Is there any public input at this time?
Debbie Skinner for the record. Just have a couple of questions that I know that can't be answered because it's just public comment. But on the new positions that were approved with the budget for the 2027-28 year, on the Chief Development Officer, the Chief Operating Officer, the HR assistant position, and the POE, are those going to be outsourced to applicants that they can apply for it, or are they going to be promoted within, would be my concern. I think it's a great direction the city is going, to be able to have that recourse and be able to work directly with the mayor and with the council. But I'd like to see that as an outsource so that we can bring up our level of our game to an A game versus status quo where we're at. I think we want to grow and we want to do better for what we are looking for. And I think that promoting outside of the city and recruitment in that aspect would be beneficial. So those are just my comments. And I have to say, just lastly, I love the 25th anniversary and all of the history that's in the room. It was very pleasing to me that Miss Brush had the crown on. She's always been a princess in the crown. She was one of my school teachers, as so was Miss Arudia. So it's very interesting, our Mrs. Trump. So it's very interesting to see that it's come full circle and what a great community we live in. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other public input? Anybody on Zoom? Nobody on the phone? Our next meeting will be June 3rd at 5 p.m. This meeting is adjourned.